I'm Manna, and welcome back to Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest. When we last left off, we were still in Chapter 1. Kind of getting the lay of the land and figuring out where we are, in Poland. I think we're in Poland. I know I couldn't enunciate the name of the town we were in. So yeah, here we are. Also, gonna throw it up on screen here. We are fostering some kittens. They were found by our apartment complex manager, and they asked us to foster them. And so yeah, this is Loki and Arya. Loki is the orange one, Arya is the black one. Arya is a boy, and we think Loki is the rare 20% chance of happening orange female. Like, I'm almost positive. I'm gonna have the vet confirm when they go in for their wellness check. But I'm pretty certain that Loki is a girl, and I'm keeping the name Loki because there is lore of Loki turning into a woman. So it's very fitting. So there's our little fosters, or at least that's the plan. They probably won't be fosters. And once they're deemed healthy and out of quarantine, they'll be hanging out up here in the cat cam with me. They are very small. They are about 8 weeks old. So they may have just barely been weaned from their mother when they were rescued. Apparently, the mother had not been seen for a few days, and they were worried that these kittens weren't gonna do very well without her, so scooped them up, and now I'm taking care of them. With Boyle's help, of course. Alright, so let's get back into it. I'm gonna be really mad if we'd abruptly finish chapter 1, because I was trying to go for an entire chapter in one episode, but my voice was just way too tired last time. So let's jump back into it, and if any of the cats join me, I'll turn on the cat cam. I turned it off because it worked, and I had to fix it, and the cats took off running because I was trying to fix it. The first evening, the B&B was quaint. I left Anya and Bartek outside. They looked like they needed some time alone to say their goodbyes. When I got out of the shower, Anya was back, smiling and a little flustered. "What a day," she smiled. "So, what do you think?" I made a quick mental inventory of everything that had happened that day. They were cutting down the forest. I remember the scene at the shop. Mentioned the graveyard. I told her what happened when I talked with Lisa. Yeah, let's tell her about talking with Lisa. There's a hair stuck in my glasses, and it's driving me nuts. Here we go. Next that. Something weird happened when I was talking with Lisa. I think it was her joint, but I saw some things. It looked like something from the past. Like, from your past? For a second, I searched for words to explain it to her, but I couldn't really. I think it was my grandpa. It's hard to say, but it sure was weird. I shrugged, ending the topic. Mentioned the graveyard. That was a little disturbing, seeing her potentially family grave destroyed. What happened here that the people are still vandalizing my family's grave? What did my grandfather do? Anya is friendly. Put a hand on my shoulder. Whatever it was, it's not your fault. It wasn't, but it could be my responsibility. They're cutting down the forest. Yeah, that upsets me. Can't believe they're logging here. Shook my head. Isn't the forest on a UNESCO list or something? Yeah, I know. I want to check out this protest people were talking about. Maybe we can go there tomorrow. Okay, I guess we're talking about everything. Remember the shot? The tension seemed almost unnatural. A few words more, and it would have been a regular fight. Maybe they just envied Kim's style. Anya tried to joke, but she seemed worried. I don't feel like talking anymore. You know what? I'm seriously tired. Let's call it a day, shall we? Soon we were both in our beds, ready to sleep. Even though I was tired, sleep didn't come quickly. Anxiety was spreading its cold, writhing roots deep in my chest and stomach. I lay there for some time, looking at the silver rectangle painted on the wall by the moonlight. The start of my search wasn't really fortunate, but I got to know so many things. And on the next day, I was to see the forest itself. I felt I was closer to getting my answers. Ooh, my willpower went up. Progressed. Goal mystery. Indicates change in Mia's current stats. Your character sheet may contain more details. Ooh. I'm not very inspiring, but I'm a little analytical and a bit spiritual. I am healthy. The forest was whispering to my grandfather, asking him to do dangerous and cruel things. People protesting the logging clearly knew something about my connection to the forest. I should go and talk to them. Anya, loyal, Bartek, friendly. Family. It's complicated. Kim, neutral. Lisa, neutral. Olga, neutral. I don't know. Olga seemed pretty aggressive in the cemetery. I felt that the answers I was looking for were within my reach. I just had to go and see the logging protest, meet the right people, and make them talk. After a long while, all these thoughts became blurry. They slowly started to turn into pictures, sounds, and colors. I drifted off. A night in the wood. The railroad tracks remember times of their glory. The trees around them whisper about forgotten secrets. I tremble. Something is coming. It's huge and monstrous. I'm a cub. I'm a seed. Let's go cub. Because I know we're a wolf. I'm a wolf cub, like the ones my grandfather told me about. I will grow and my fangs will become sharper. I will taste blood. Feel a pull and surrender to it. I run toward a clearing. There are piles of fresh corpses of people who died too young, skinned and mutilated. Their loved ones stand around them, grieving, unable to do anything, waiting. And suddenly, they are just trees and tree trunks. I look around. I mean, that's what I would do in this situation. Analytical. Yep. I look around. My nostrils flare. Who did it? Who murdered the trees? There is a stench in the air like meat rotting in acid. But somehow worse. I see the monstrous army. Their mandibles are whirling chainsaws. Their long metal arms are wrapped with black pipes that look like glistening intestines. Their smell is vile. They wait, unmoving. I don't think it's a good idea to charge at chainsaws. That just seems like a bad idea. Don't run at chainsaws. I turn to the forest for answers. The dead don't hold answers, and neither do the machines. I walk between the trees, trying to hear their wisdom. They whisper to me, telling me to look at the sky. You good, Maru? I don't know if the microphone's picking him up, shaking his head. Momo's in the window, and she's sitting in the perfect spot so she can look at me over the back of my monitor. And Maru's like, I want to be in the window, and he's trying to squeeze in up there with her. Apparently, I need the cat cam on this window instead of the other one. They whisper to me, telling me to look at the sky. There, between the stars, two shapes circle each other. An old, sad wolf with gray hair and a white weasel. They keep their eyes on one another as they continue their dance, suspicious but not hostile. We need to fight the enemy, the awful, rotting stench. I know that much. But how can we do that when we don't trust each other? They stop. They look at me in the clearing. I look at them, cautious. I reprimand them. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I would. The forest is sympathetic. Luzka, I think is how she said that. You're gonna spill my soda, Momo. Analytical. Stop it. You've wasted enough time. Once again, I don't recognize the words, but I understand. They come down to me, and their voice is the voice of Huska. Hushka? I don't remember what it was, and it's not telling me. Momo, I swear to drunk. What do you do? What do you do? Get out from behind the monitor. The cats are being chaos gremlins because they're upset about the kittens being in the bathroom. They haven't seen, like, they've seen them now. They saw them through the door earlier when I was taking food in there. But boy, do they have an attitude about these kittens. Maru wants to play with them. Momo wants nothing to do with them. Anywho, we've been calling you, and you finally came. I wake up. God, motherfucker. If I just recorded for like another 10 minutes, I would have been at the end of chapter 1. I should have skipped going. Oh well. Let's start chapter 2. And I'm going to try to go until we're done with chapter 2. The day after. The next morning was full of sunshine and birdsong. I could smell the heat of the afternoon building. Those long, honey-like hours in late June when the earth isn't tired of its own warmth yet. But it was crisp and pleasant now. I got up. I sat on my bed for a moment, letting my feet dangle from it. I felt overwhelmed. The weight of the previous day had coiled up somewhere in my chest, and I didn't really know what to think about everything I'd learned. And there was the dream. Then I remembered the dream. The clearing, the animals in the night sky, waiting for me. I took a shower, ate something without really paying attention, and went out. Anya joined me. Summer morning. We were halfway through the forest when Bartek caught up with us. You were right, Anya. The protest is important. Alright, well. Protests, activists, answers? Let's go there. Is that... Oh, I have to click under it. Mubby! Against the machines. As I walked toward the logging site, I noticed there were more people heading that way. A police car, a couple of SUVs, TV truck, young people on bicycles, a green Land Rover from the Forest Services. When I got to the site, it felt utterly surreal. Like I'd stepped onto a movie set. Anya looked around. So, what's the plan? Stop the logging. I had to figure out the forest. I needed to find someone. Let's find someone. There was someone I had to find and press for answer. Kim, Lisa's girlfriend. Kim is Lisa's girlfriend. Right? You know, when we met at the store, Kim had said that I should meet their friends here if I wanted to learn more. I looked around. On my right was the ancient forest. On my left was the freshly torn clearing. Ahead of me, ruining the view, were huge logging machines and a group of people arguing in their shadow. It was clear they needed an outside voice to settle the dispute. looked at everyone. There were people there, too. The loggers were sitting idly on the tree trunks, sharing cigarettes. The police that stood between them and a colorful group of protesters were visibly uneasy and twitchy. I saw some reporters who were clearly bored because no one was doing anything interesting. The harvesters loomed over the clearing, reeking. I saw a familiar face among the protesters. Kim was standing next to a vaguely military-looking man who was arguing with Olga from the cemetery. The protesters were clearly conflicted. Maybe I could solve the conflict. They clearly needed some advice. It could be fun. It could be fun. Cunning. I went closer, looking for a laugh. This could be fun to watch. One of the police officers, young and nervous, said something I didn't fully understand. Let Bartek handle it, because he speaks the language. Bartek leaned over to him and whispered something. The officer instantly lost interest. Oh, he said, you're one of them. And then let us go. Then I noticed that someone joined us. And then I noticed someone used the commotion to sneak with us past the police. A girl with disheveled, bleached-out hair. Don't worry, he patted the officer on the arm. It was an awful pickup line anyway. He recoiled. You shouldn't touch me, ma'am. I'm gonna smile, because that's funny. I smiled at her and wanted to say something, but I was interrupted. Pat, some guy called her from the gathering. Would you come here? I need you to show Olga that chart. She sighed, reaching for her backpack and taking out a tablet. And they're at it again, she murmured under her breath and winked at me. Coming. We went toward the activists. Ow, my sternum just cracked. As I walked towards Kim, I heard more and more of the argument. Olga, you can't. The man was speaking with a strong German accent. Pat stood next to him with her tablet. He looked a bit amused. Do not fucking tell me what I can or can't do, Cornell. Olga interrupted. I can, because they are destroying our mother. I can fight with all the means at my disposal, even if that means burning those harvesters to the ground. A slender, green-eyed man was standing near her. He took a few steps back, went towards one of the harvesters, turned his back on us all, and pissed on the machine. Olga smirked. Aw, Daniel, you know how to bring the point home. He looked at her, confused. Brunel raised his eyebrows. Burn the harvesters? Brunel asked calmly. In this drought? Olga, are you out of your mind? You know what I mean. We fight them any way we can, because this is a fucking war, she spat. He sighed. You've never seen real war, and it shows. Nobody's shooting at us, and believe me, we want it to stay that way. We need a peaceful protest. I approached Kim. Hey, can we talk? I asked, approaching Kim. Oh, Maya. Is it Maya or Mia? I don't actually know. I've been saying Mia, but it's probably Maya. Yeah, it's Maya. No, Maya, darling. It's good to see you. They smiled. Maybe you'll be able to convince her. Oh, so I was to take a stand. I looked at them. I looked at them both. Olga with her fury and passion. Brunel with his cool professional demeanor. And shared without any reservations what I felt about the situation. There was a fine line to tread. It wasn't about personal victory. Mock them both. No. Wasn't about personal victory. Olga cautious, Brunel unfriendly, Lisa cautious, Daniel cautious, Kim sympathetic. Cool. Honestly, there are a lot more solutions than violence, I said in a clear voice, and I think that saving the forest is more important than winning a war or a dispute. Kim shook their head and moved forward. I observed them curiously. Olga, darling, you know I love you, but Cornell really knows what he's doing. Please trust me on that one. He looked at her apologetically. Fuck off, Kim. You didn't even trust me enough to come here on your own when I asked you to. Lisa decided to say something. Lisa looked them straight in the eye. She had a peculiar accent. Kim, you want to teach me about violence? She looked them straight in the eye. About fighting oppression? Just because your boss went to what? One mission in Afghanistan? The Polish was peculiar, kind of mellow. Cornell winced. Lisa, leave him alone. He didn't know what to say. And it seemed that the whole discussion would be derailed. Maybe it was for the best. I didn't let that happen. Let's not let that happen. We gotta save the forest. Can't get answers if the forest is gone. Olga neutral, Cornell cautious. Okay. Hey guys, the forest, I said. The logging, the protest. Olga unclenched her fists. Cornell looked back at her and chuckled softly. You almost punched me. The conversation was over, at least for the time being. Cornell, together with his cronies, walked toward the reporters while Olga went back to the group of people standing in the shadow of an old oak tree. Looked at the forest. Pushka is sympathetic. I looked at the Pushkaza. I have no idea. The clearing full of felled trees was like a gaping, bleeding wound in the chest of a friend. I had to do something. Full mission. Stop the logging. Give it a try. I looked at my friends. I have to stop this logging. Yes, just like Olga said, Anya nodded, excited. What they are doing is unforgivable, and we have to fight. It is a very complicated situation, Artek looked thoughtful. I liked what the guy Cornell said, that we should proceed peacefully, not to discourage the public and potential supporters. I looked at one group, looked at the other. Excuse me? The harvesters were dripping with black oil, and the forest stood tall, serene, and full of golden light. It looked like it could protect itself. And then I looked at the felled trees, dead, limp, helpless. Olga, escalation, Cornell, answers. I feel like Cornell's the best course of action here. I feel like we might be related to Olga. In the limelight. As I approached the group, Kim waved at me. Come here. They took me straight to the leader of their group, the man who was arguing with Olga. Hello, Maya, he said. I see you haven't come alone. He reached out his hand. I'm going to shake his hand. His handshake was firm and strong. His eyes were an uncanny shade of gray. He might have been in his early 30s, I thought. Kind of a bad boy. Why were they arguing? Yes, let's ask that. But seriously, that argument looked personal. I looked back at Olga and her crowd. Her heart is in the right place, but her methods are not optimal. Cornell looked me in the eyes. I know why you came to Biwoveza. I know why you came to Biwoveza. When the force is under attack, it reaches out and picks someone. This time, it picked you. He seemed to believe it. The Pushka has reached to me because she was in it. Cool, thank you. I looked at him, skeptical, but he seemed to believe it. The important question is, he looked at me intensely, do you want to help? I had no time to answer. The answer is yes. That doesn't even require thoughts. Yes. But before I could answer, I heard a commotion and turned around. The reporters were coming our way, but their cameras were switched off and pointed at the ground. Why weren't they filming? They should be taking photos or filming the protest. But I couldn't remember if they were when I arrived at the site. So, asked Cornell. There was a hint of impatience in his voice. The reporter shook his head and grimaced. Sorry, everyone. We can't do anything. We're not allowed to cover what's going on here. What do you mean? Press. Cautious. What? I exploded. What do you mean you're not allowed? Who said so? Everybody was looking at me. It felt weird. The reporter shrugged. The people who can send an officer your way who will kindly ask you to hand over your memory card, or else. Go figure, girl. There was a moment of tense silence, and then it all came together. There was a moment of tense silence. Suddenly I understood the dream. That was the moment I was destined to intervene. The protest was too quiet. They needed inspiration. I just had to make the reporters understand. We could still use the reporters. We can still use the reporters. Keep talking. I looked at the protesters. Their frustration was getting to me. They didn't have a real plan. They were as lost as I was. They didn't have any real plan. They were a ragtag bunch thrown together by circumstance without a real plan or clear purpose. I looked around, put my hands in my pockets, and wandered toward the journalist. Oh, my rage is full. Whoops, they were such cowards. They just need a little nudge. Cops were scared. They need a little nudge. I've always wanted to be a journalist, you know, I said to the nearest one. The fourth pillar of democracy and all that. But maybe things work differently here in Poland. He looked at me with tired eyes. I winked. He smiled. Unspectacular as it was, I managed to connect. And then I blew it. No. Act on it. Does it always look like this? I asked. I mean, is it an everyday situation that you can't report? No, answered one of them. He was tall, in his 30s. There were a few glances toward him, almost a flash of warning, but it was too late. So why weren't they filming? But why were they in... I already forgot how to say it. So why weren't they filming? Press. Neutral. So why don't you film? I'm sure there's something newsworthy here. I wasn't about to let them off the hook. Where I come from, there are usually more journalists than protesters and officers combined. They looked at one another, suddenly unsure of what to say. Then I heard shouts as Olga and her protesters clashed with the police, and the cameramen grabbed their gear and ran toward the action. Remember, we want the aggressive ones, shouted one of the reporters. I could see the logo on the national TV station on his camera. Soon, we were alone. Cornell, unfriendly. Fuck, Cornell swore and threw his thermal cup at the ground. It bounced, spilling hot coffee everywhere. Someone grabbed me by my shoulder. I turned around and saw Kim. This is when you exit the scene. He turned me around and gently but firmly pushed me away. We'll be in touch, they whispered. The ugly truth. When I was on the road to the village and nobody could see me, I stopped and screamed. A startled flock of birds took off from the trees nearby and filled the air with feathers and movement. In the whole commotion, I lost Anya and Bartek from my sight. I was alone, or so I thought. Press is neutral. Hey, are you all right? A voice behind me said, and I jumped. A woman was walking toward me. Nice, I'm fine. I'm fine, I croaked. My throat hurt. She rummaged in her backpack. Here, she said. I have water if you need some. We walked slowly toward the village. We talked. I learned that she was an independent German reporter who'd come here about a month ago. Her name was Erica. So why are you protesting the logging? She asked after a few minutes of small talk. My civic duty, personal reasons. Honestly, I had no idea. Personal reasons. I came here for personal reasons, and I've dropped right into the middle of some eco-guerrilla campaign. I shrugged. And for many reasons, my interests are aligned with the protesters. I looked at her. And why are you asking? She looked at me with renewed interest. Do you know why they are cutting down the trees? She asked back. Because you do know that logging is done by a government company, the state forests. But why? Why are they doing this? I wasn't sure if I understood. Shouldn't the state forest take care that the forest was healthy? Erica reached for her notebook. It all started with spruce bark beetles. Erica looked into her notes and started explaining the whole situation. That year, the beetles' infestation was of catastrophic proportions, and the foresters decided that the only way to stop it and save the rest of the forest was to cut down as many infested trees as fast as possible. Couldn't they just remove the dead trees? Well, I mean, it would spread from the healthy one, or spread from the ones that are dead and dying to the healthy ones. So you have to remove the infection in order to keep the infection from spreading. What are you doing, Maru? My cats are being weird. But that's nothing new. But is logging legal? I wanted to know. Opinions differ, but such massive logging in UNESCO-listed area might be illegal, Erica answered. Okay. I feel like we get the same answer with either one of these. Was cutting down trees necessary? Is cutting down trees the only way to stop the infestation? I asked, confused. The foresters state that this is the only way, she said. Some biologists argue that they are cutting wrong trees and doing it too late to change anything. Okay, we're going to ask all the questions anyway. Maybe if they removed the dead trees, the infestation wouldn't spread. Try to find a solution. They might do that, but dead trees are what make the forest unique, Erica smiled. There are 20 times more species living on a dead spruce tree than on an alive one. Do they have to intervene at all? Couldn't they just leave the pushka alone and let nature take its course? I still don't think I'm saying that right. That's one of the options, Erica admitted. But there's a drought, and no one is sure if the forest would survive on its own. It was infuriating. Why couldn't you just answer my question? Try to understand her point of view. Press, sympathetic. I see that you're trying to show me the whole picture, and I appreciate it, I sighed. I just hoped there would be an easy answer. I'm just doing my job, Erica shrugged. I describe all aspects of the situation to you, but it's up to you to decide what you want to do. It was a tough decision. I shook my head. Why did the situation always have to be so complex? At least I was sure that they were cutting down the trees and the pushka needed my help. I didn't have to explain myself. What happened to the wood? When they cut down the trees, what happens to the wood? I asked Erica. The state foresters have to be financially self-sufficient. They earn money by selling forest products, including wood, she answered. That's why I think the bark beetle is not the reason, but an excuse to push more wood on the market. I concluded my case. She looked skeptical. You're not the only one feeling helpless, she sighed, but anger makes you see things in black and white. And the truth is always more nuanced than that. Ow, my wrist just popped. Don't want to listen. So what was right and what was wrong? Yeah, so what was right and what was wrong? So what should I do when I feel that something is wrong? I asked, exasperated. Do you believe that people can be evil? She asked back. We could do bad things, for sure. Some people do really shitty things, I shrugged. But it's just their actions. or their nature. I said nothing. What's the matter? She asked. I told her about my anger, admitted my helplessness. Anger. Let's tell her about our anger. I'm so fucking angry at what I saw. Took a deep breath. Then I remembered what Cornell said. All that mystical stuff. And they said that the forest needs my help. I shook my head. A lot to take in, and there was a foul smell back there. She looked at me with a weird expression. What smell? She asked. Smell was not the point. Of all the things I told you, you asked about a smell? I huffed. I'm trying to understand what's going on here. I think I know what's going on, she answered slowly, but I don't think that I should be the one explaining it to you. I looked at her and raised my eyebrow questioningly. She looked hurt. I thought she'd been hurt by my outburst. You'll learn in your own time if you stay here long enough, she said, clearly wanting to drop the topic. I don't like being an angry person, but also I want to know what she means. What do you mean? I asked, getting irritated. I just told you. You'll learn in time, or not at all, which would frankly be better. Anyway, gotta run. As I watched her leave, I thought that whatever connected me to the forest had surely manifested itself that day. Guess I'd made some progress. Goal, mystery. Decided to help the forest. I jumped right into the middle of a very tense situation, and at the very least, upset the status quo. I just hoped I hadn't made things worse. Walk on in silence. Time to regroup. When I opened the door, I found Anya and Bartek sitting on Anya's bed. They were a little flustered and were nonchalantly trying to look like I hadn't interrupted anything. We lost sight of you, Bartek said apologetically. Glad you made it back in one piece. So how was your day? Anya asked. I had a chat with the reporters. I learned a lot. I met a lot of new people. I shrugged. I met a lot of new people. I met some very interesting people, I said, still excited. Yeah, they looked like a colorful bunch, Anya grinned. Bartek rolled his eyes. Colorful and uninvited. They sure are passionate. They argue between themselves more than they argue with the loggers, I added. What was Bartek's problem? I had a chat with the reporters, learned... Okay, what was Bartek's problem? What's your problem? I snapped at Bartek. I'm just telling you what happened. There's no reason to be a dick about it. You think that just because you're American, you can barge in and try to solve our problems, he scoffed. I'm not the one being a dick. Decided to let it slide. Chatted with the reporters. Had a nice chat with the reporters, I grinned. And I learned a thing or two. Anya frowned. I heard that you can't trust them. Bartek nodded. Of course not. He looked for a word. They're hyenas. I never said I did. I learned a lot. Did you know that the government supported the logging even when it was illegal? I shared my dismay. If they support it, it can't be illegal, Bartek crossed his arms. Of course it can. Threw my arms up frustrated. Current state of the United States, for example. Just because it's happening doesn't mean it's fucking legal. In fact, a lot of it is very fucking illegal. So what the fuck do I know? That was all I wanted to share. I shrugged. Just another day in Iwaveza. I will get the hang of it soon. You know, there's more to see here than Biwaveza, Bartek told me. You should visit Pogozeltez, Buddy, Booty, Trimiski. I'm butchering these, I'm sorry. Sri Lanka. Yeah, I know Sri Lanka. I didn't realize it was spelled like that, but yeah, Sri Lanka. or Sri Lanka, one of the two. See the open-air museum and the bison. The logging is not all that happens here. Couldn't see everything. It would be great if I could see everything, but can't. I shrugged. I want to focus on the logging, even if I'm missing something else. And how's the search for your roots going? Asked Bartek, clearly wanting to change the topic. Share what I learned. They say that when the forest is in need, it reaches out to people, I said. And for some reason, this time it reached out to me. Wow, Honey looked impressed. Honestly, I'm not sure what to think. But if you need something, just let me know. I was tired. I just sat there, looking through the window. The day had been full on, and I was exhausted. I didn't notice when I fell asleep. I can do anything. It's quiet now, yet I know deep down inside that something isn't right. Sneak. I'm sneaking through the forest to the logging site. It's getting dark. The light seeps away, as though there are millions of tiny punch holes in the sky through which it can escape. And then the darkness starts to pour in. I welcome the darkness. The Han actor in me is very into this. It's thick, oily snake-like. It wraps around my ankles, caresses my wrists, then takes my hand and leads me to the site. It's full of maimed bodies. They are all trees, fallen trees, still alive, still struggling for air. And there's the stench. I see movement in the darkness, but I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I accidentally right-clicked instead of left. Gotta be aware of your surroundings. The monsters are coming. They have long skeletal arms. They're wrapped in glistening black intestines, and each arm has a wide, gaping mandible full of whirring blades. They snap at me blindly, but I'm not alone. I feel righteous anger burning through me, like molten lava bubbling from the ground, through my feet, up my legs, through my chest to my head. I point at the monsters. My friends watch, and I bask in their rage. Howl the sentence. I howl out the death sentence, and we run toward the monstrous shapes. We bite off heads and tear off arms. We are an executioner's axe, unflinching. And then I wake up. I gasped and bolted upright. I was alone. The sun was setting, and in the deep red light, the room looked like it was bathed in blood. My pillow was on the ground, and the duvet was torn. Tiny feathers were spilling through the tear. What happened? Is that the end of... Oh, that was the end of chapter 2. Cool. Okay, I'm going to call it here then, because I said I was going to do a chapter at a time, and I want to keep it that way. So yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. Yeah. I'm definitely, like, I understand having to, like, cut down infested trees. I understand that. Like, we had that big issue with the, I think it was ash trees a while back where, they had, like, some kind of illness, and in order to keep it from spreading to other ash trees, they had to cut down the infected ones. So I totally understand, like, having to do that to save the rest of them. But there's more going on here than just that, it sounds like. And that has me sus. So, when we come back, we'll start chapter 3 and go from there. Until then, I will see you guys later. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Remember to do something nice for a stranger today. You just might save a life. Bye!